Andy Griffith is an American icon. He's a man known in practically every American household and was quite simply the face of American television in the 1960s. The Andy Griffith Show, which started at the beginning of that decade, has only grown in popularity through the years thanks to syndication. It's one of the few television series that seem to be, in a real sense of the word, timeless. It's never gone off the air since it premiered over 50 years ago on CBS. But Griffith's reach extends beyond that of the series that bears his name. In the mid-1980s, he returned to television, starring in the American legal drama Matlock, which ran for 9 seasons. Over the years, Andy Griffith's contribution to American television seemingly knows no equal. But this video isn't about the Andy that most folks know and love. This video is about his least known and yet arguably most remarkable performance.
10,000 miles away from home, and I don't even know my name.
3 years before Mayberry, Andy Griffith starred as Lonesome Rhodes in the motion picture A Face in the Crowd. Set in the 1950s, Rhodes is an alcoholic drifter with a shady and suspect past who finds himself locked in a small-town jail in the middle of Arkansas. Patricia Neal plays a young reporter who happens to be visiting the lockup to record inmates for a new radio program. Struck by Rhodes' charisma, voice, and authentic personality, she soon offers him his own time slot on the station's schedule. Within no time at all, Lonesome Rhodes becomes a local celebrity and lands his own television show in Memphis, Tennessee. Lonesome's plain-spoken and hard-headed nature make him an instant hit with the people, and he develops a highly devoted and highly motivated following.
53.7. Just picked up another million. This whole country's just like my flock of sheep. Rednecks, crackers, hillbillies, housefrows, shut-ins, pea pickers. Everybody that's got to jump when somebody else blows the whistle. They're mine. I own them. They think like I do. Only they're even more stupid than I am, so I gotta think for them.
Pretty soon, everything he touches turns to gold. Advertisers on his show are making money hand over foot, and Lonesome becomes fully enraptured by his fame and fortune. Starting as an arrogant and penniless crook, he ascends to the level of television personality superstar and eventually leverages his national influence to become the country's most popular political demagogue. But as it always does with these kinds of stories, Lonesome's sin soon finds him out. Griffith's performance as Rhodes is simultaneously captivating and haunting, made even greater in retrospect by the fact that it comes from a face that Americans have traditionally linked with honesty and old-fashioned family values. When A Face in the Crowd was first released in '57, it received mixed reviews, but today it's seen in a much more favorable light, and in 2008 was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. One could argue that this film has grown in importance in recent decades, as it seems to have predicted the rise of populism in modern American politics. More recently, film critics are revisiting the work, making the inevitable comparison to the rise of Donald Trump. To be honest, I don't really agree with this as an exact parallel. I mean, for one thing, Rhodes wasn't born into wealth. He created his empire in the story from nothing. President Trump, by contrast, leveraged his wealth to create his cult of personality, not down-home roots, but I get it. Both are examples of an outsider who rose to the very top of national influence. But the political thing, that doesn't interest me. If you want to hear more about that, go watch somebody else's essay. I don't care. What interests me is Griffith, and how Lonesome Rhodes acts as the antithesis to Sheriff Andy Taylor. I'm interested in finding out whether this role is strong by nature or by Griffith's modern reputation as a respectable and trustworthy figure. Is Lonesome Rhodes compelling because of who he is, or because of who Andy is? These two roles are polar opposites of each other, yet they both originate from the same source. You could argue Rhodes is a corruption of Taylor. They both carry surprisingly similar skill sets, one used for good, the other used for evil, but that doesn't really work. After all, Rhodes came first, right? When the public of 1957 saw A Face in the Crowd, they had no other framework to base Griffith's performance around. By contrast, when we view A Face in the Crowd today, we're viewing it having already established Griffith in our mind as the upstanding and honest Sheriff of Mayberry. Characters are perceived differently when presented in different contexts. Films like this can help shed light on how we perceive characters in a given medium. Whether we like it or not, we can't view performances in a vacuum, and by extension, the same holds true for stories. The original audience, they look at this character and see Lonesome Rhodes. Modern audiences see Andy Taylor. The original audience sees a face in the crowd as something that might happen. Modern audiences view a face in the crowd as something that is happening. And in that respect, this story has arguably become more meaningful now than back then. This is a work ahead of its time.
I guess people at that time didn't think it could happen. It can happen. It can happen. This was a regular, just an interesting, energetic guy at the beginning, a free kind of a man. And he became accepted by people, and he became their folk hero. And then he started to manipulate them and tell them how to think, and they would do what he said do.
I love A Face in the Crowd. It's been one of my favorite movies for years. But the truth of the matter is that the original audience that saw it in theaters probably didn't appreciate it as much as I do. It might just be that this film needed 60 years to become relevant. So, what stories are we telling today that you think will hold a greater meaning 60 years from now? And what modern performances do you think will seem greater in retrospect? And if you haven't yet, seriously, go watch this movie. It's great. Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch this. If it was your cup of tea, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. Or don't. I don't really care.